14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into Hometown Threads, episode 32 here on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Of course, brought to you by Liberty Bank. Be community kind. Big thanks to our sponsor, Liberty Bank, with three great local locations. West Main Street, Willimantic, Gateway Commons. Right across the street from the station, 679 Main Street, Willimantic, and Route 195 in Mansfield. Liberty Bank. Be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you wouldn't mind, say hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
Keith C. with Bill C. We'll get to our special guest in just a sec here for episode 32. Just a reminder, Hometown Threads airs on the radio every Tuesday, 5:05 to 5:30 on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM. You can also look for it on the WILI YouTube page, uploaded by our fine producer, J. Matt Rupar. And then I usually share it on my personal Keith C. Rice Facebook page, and then we put it up on Willimantic Today, Wednesday, and it runs through the week, pinned atop their page. So here we go, episode 32, Hometown Threads, and it's a pleasure to bring in Bill Carell, and who has so many ties to the community. First things first, though.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the beard.
Oh, sure.
Because I've seen Bill a lot recently. When did you start growing that legendary beard?
Well, I started growing a beard when my daughter, my younger daughter, was 4 years old, Becky, and she asked me to grow a beard, and so I did for about a year or so. It got out to about an inch long, and then it stopped growing. So I shaved it off and everything, and then about 3 years ago, beginning of COVID, she said, "Dad, why you got nobody to impress? Why don't you just go ahead and start growing a beard?"
It's like a COVID beard, all right.
Yeah, exactly, and it still is a COVID beard. So how it came to be long was I was trimming it, and I noticed I was cutting off a half an inch every 2 weeks or so, and I said, "This is nonsense. Let's see what happens if I don't trim it." So the next thing I know, it's kind of out to here, then it's out to here, then it's out to here, and I trimmed 3 inches off 3 times. So it would be down a little bit
out,
further.
really?
I don't know what happened, but sometime after 50 or 60, I got this superpower in terms of producing hair on my chin. So.
Now, do you own a guitar, and can you sing She's Got Legs?
Are you kidding me? Do I own a guitar, Keith? We should talk, and you can ask my good friend Chris Terracone about my guitars.
Chris Terracone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have so many How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing great. I don't see him very often because he's down in Florida right now.
He's in Florida.
Yeah,
wow.
but we comment on each other's Instagram pages, and definitely he's playing guitar again now, too. So shout out to you, Chris.
Yeah, boy, Chris Terracone. That's a name from the past.
Yes, it is.
So, but you can sing. She's got legs. Are you a ZZ Top fan?
He got legs.
Are you a ZZ Top
She
fan?
knows how to use them.
Because
She never begs.
Matt, is that a ZZ
No,
Top?
I can't sing. That would be up to you to tell me, okay?
Is that? I'm sorry. I'm on the beard here, but is that as long as ZZ Top? They probably go longer, right?
All right. It might be a little longer than Dusty Hill.
Oh, okay.
God rest his soul,
Yeah,
but it's not anywhere into the Billy Gibbs realm yet. If I hadn't cut it, some of the hairs would be that long, but it's kind of scraggly now.
It looks great. I think it looks great. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just saw Bill last week. He was in here recording a spot for Holy Family Home and Shelter with Ryan Fitzgibbons.
That's correct.
And, why don't we, I know there's a lot I want to learn. As long as I've known Bill, and that's a great thing about Hometown Threads, I may know a lot of, these guests for many years, but just when you think you know somebody, you really don't. You've got a ton of stories. But first, let's talk about this coming Friday, the Rotary Golf Tournament, August 4th, over at the Wyndham Golf Course. Tell us a little about that.
All right. So the short version is we've got a golf tournament that's going to be. It's our second one that we've done. It'll be 11 o'clock at the Wyndham Golf Club. And we've got somewhere around 104 golfers signed up for it right now.
I'll be part of that.
Absolutely, me too. And we've got some great sponsors and all the rest of it. It'll be a wonderful time. We will have a raffle. We'll have lots of prizes for stuff that's happening out on the course and good food. Hot dogs, hamburgers on the course, and then a sit-down meal afterwards.
Really?
$150 a golfer. However, you're going to get a lot more value than that from the day, and you'll be able to have a ball with all your friends.
Now, people that are listening to this right here on WILI, Is there's still time to get in on this, and how will they go about doing it?
Yeah, they absolutely can get in on this. I'm going to give you my cell phone number now, which I don't normally give out unless I know you, and if you're on Facebook, you know my cell phone number. 860-428-9541. I will get you to the right people, so if you want to play, we'd love to have you.
860, this is off of memory now. My parents used to call me a directory. 860-428-9541.
That's correct. 860-428-9541.
There we go.
Well played.
So, thank you. So that's this Friday, August 4th. And, we should mention, because we're looking at the forecast, rain is in the forecast. And if there's rain, there's a rain date for the following Friday, August 11th.
Correct.
Right?
Everything stays the same. It just shifts 7 days, and we're still going to have a ball.
I wish we could get a day like today, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Now, Bill Carell, tell us about how it all started for you. You're not originally from the Willimantic area. You're from Ledyard. Is it? By the way, I went to school in that area. Is it Ledyard or Ledyard?
Ledyard.
See, you would know. You're from. So it's Ledyard. It's not Ledyard.
No.
Wow.
Ledyard, and it's named for a Colonel William Ledyard, who actually was run through by a Brit. You know where the Trumbull Memorial is. You know down in Groton, right on the water.
Sure.
That's where he surrendered, and then the Brit ran him through. So they named the town after him. I guess if you die a war hero in those days, something got named after you. And it was a great place to grow up. When we first moved there in 1963, I think there was about 2,000 people there, probably about the size of Chaplin 10, 12 years ago. And, I went to school at the University of Colorado. I did not go to class my first year, so there wasn't a lot of book learning that got into my head. But I did learn a lot about golf, beer, and women.
Don't we all? We are.
So, telling you the truth, my dad, funded that whole venture for the first year, and I firmly believe that those things that happen in your life are for a reason. And so I came home. I went to work at EB for a year. I went to a dorm party with some friends from high school. Met my wife there, and
in Colorado?
No, this is in Yukon.
You came back. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to come back from Colorado in order to meet my wife and have my 2 girls, and then have my two grandsons.
So that 1 year in Colorado, you were a Buffalo.
I was.
That's weird. We're just talking about Colorado before the show, because if UConn possibly going to the Big 12 in Colorado and all that, little did I know, I'd find out that Bill went to the University of Colorado. So you come back after that year, you meet your wife, you have your girls,
Yep.
And you're in Ledyard.
Yep.
See, it's weird, because does that bug you when people say Ledyard?
Don't even care.
Wow, okay. It would bug me. But anyway, so are you still in Ledyard at this point?
No, I've been living on Walnut Street.
No. I mean, when you came back. UConn.
Oh, you mean go back into my story? And I'm still in. Yeah, I am. I was driving 45 minutes each way to get to her dormitory. By her, I mean my beautiful, gorgeous wife that I had a dream about when I was 12 years old. This is all documented. I published stories about it. So I went to this dorm party. I immediately recognized and knew her. And then by 5 o'clock in the morning, I told her, I'm going to marry you. And that was 1974. October 19th, 1974.
We got to go to lunch sometime, because this is going to go way past 25 minutes, all these stories. This is just the first story.
Yeah, you can cherry pick, or at a later date. But there's a lot of good things that have gone on.
Okay, so what year did you marry your wife again?
76. We lived together for a year and a half while she completed her college education. I went for another semester, and then I went to work at Brand Rex on third shift to make enough money so that we could, really survive in those days. We lived on Pearl Street. Interesting story coming up from Ledyard to Willimantic. There were all these stories about, unemployed people and, Hispanics and all the rest of that. And so I moved into, Pearl Street, and there were all these people, and I would see them out on their stoops drinking beer at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so that reinforced the stereotype, right? Stick with me here. There's a good punchline. So I go to work at Brand Rex, working third shift. All my guys on my street are working with me. Third shift, they come home. When's their evening? 9 o'clock in the morning. So when did I start drinking beer? 9 o'clock in the morning. So you can forget all the stereotypes. They don't mean anything in this town. It's just been a great place to live and raise my children.
Wow. So how many years were you at Brand Rex?
I was at Brand Rex probably about 2, and then I went to Rogers Corporation for 5.
Okay, Rogers, yeah.
And then I moved on from there, and I worked for about 3 or 4 different major corporations, and got into materials management, production inventory control, senior management kind of thing. with 60 credits of college. I just got into situations, found a mentor, and they dragged me along. So the next thing I know, it's time for me to start my business, and this is where I met Chris Terracone.
And what year is this?
So, 1989, I leave Automatic Business Products, and I start Corel Enterprises, and I'm doing consulting with different businesses, including Automatic Business
And
Products.
this is in Willimantic?
Yes, they're over on Tucky Road. So, I met up with a high school chum. We decided to go into business together, and we incorporated a sub-S corporation, Progressive Data Systems Incorporated, and that was 1989, and we started the company, and the founding date is February 19th, 1990. 7 years later, I met Chris Terracone.
7 years later?
Yeah, I was looking for a technical guy, and he was, a sponge,
Sure.
very smart, all the rest of that. Had a hard time speaking, in public. I mean, like even at staff meetings and that sort of thing. When we turned him loose, he had been training people at all of our clients. He was just a rock star.
Well, I have a little connection with Terracone too, because he grew up with, as you know, my brother Chris, and Chris. They were pretty good friends. I think they probably still stay in touch. I'll probably have to ask him about that later. But Chris, my brother, was employed by you, and I'm sure, was he recruited by Terracone or?
The interesting part of it is Chris Terracone may have been in that somewhere, but we had reached out to the tech school.
Okay.
And of course, I knew all of the Rice family over here, Michael, your dad, Robin, the whole 9 yards, and your mom. And so somebody said, you ought to take a look at this guy. So the first summer I had 3 kids from Tech. All of them were great.
Wyndham Tech. Yeah.
The only one who asked to come back again was Chris Rice.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So now, how long did my brother work for you at
Okay,
PBS?
now you're asking me stuff that requires memory
Nah, don't worry
cells.
about that.
I'm going to make something
we
up
can
here.
we can go on to the next story if you
It
want.
seems like it might have been 3 summers, but
Okay.
he was a breath of fresh air.
'Cause I remember his email address was PDS.
Yeah.
And that's why I knew the whole Bill Correll
Probably Chris
connection.
R at PDS2K.com.
So how many years did you do the PDS thing now?
I'm still doing the PDS.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, so you're still doing that.
This is my 34th year.
34 years doing, wow, how about that?
I never stick with anything.
So, okay. So along with doing that, you have your hands in so many other things. Like what?
So these days, a lot less than I used to, but I used to be very interested in making this town great and bringing together all of the disparate nationalities and financial, economic strata and all the rest of that. So I kind of worked with some folks and got to get some leadership skills with the Downtown Revitalization Task Force. I was on the Economic Development Committee all through the 90s. Also worked at the state and local level for the Neighborhood Revitalization Zone, worked with a man named Nick Carbone, who put that original language together that was passed by the state to allow us to do this. And the idea was to do away with nonsense types ordinances that would, like you used to be able to, you had to remove all the lead on a building, all the lead around, glass, that sort of thing. So, yeah, there was that. I also was asked by Mike Paulus to co-chair the Blue Ribbon Task Force on Substance Abuse, and we had almost everybody that you can think of in town, from the universities to the social service agencies, the caregivers for addiction services, et cetera, et cetera. It was wonderful in terms of bringing people together.
Bill Corell is with us, episode 32 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Brought to you by Liberty Bank, be community kind. By the way, Bill Corell is a tremendous follow on Facebook. Little shameless plug for you. If you like to eat, Bill, I'm telling you right now, and I know we have our own very own food critic on Mondays, Ruth. She does a phenomenal job. But Bill's Facebook page makes me hungry every time I see it.
I get that a
You're
lot.
out of, like, the other day, you were at that breakfast place. Let's see, I've seen your Asian Bistro post.
Sure.
So, not to jump out, well, that's my next question. What gave you the idea to post every time you go out and the wonderful dishes and so on and so forth?
Well, I'm not afraid of using myself to promote my friends. And all the business owners that I know, especially the restaurants, they become my friends. And Keith, it seems like I go out an awful lot, but not as much as I used to. And I post my own cooking as well. In 2008, my wife had a gallbladder surgery. Left her; she couldn't eat, spices. She couldn't eat fatty foods. That's my strike zone, okay? And so I've been cooking my own meals for that whole period of time. And so when I make something, I take somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour to prepare it, and I love showing it off afterwards. I like getting it going. I love showing it off, and I also like eating it.
Wow, phenomenal job, because if I win the, it's over $1 billion, the Mega Billions, it's Mega Billions jackpot. If I win that tonight, I'm going to be going out as much as Bill. I'm kidding.
I'll cook for you. You can hire me full time.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Every time I know, it doesn't seem like it seems like you go out a lot. But I'm like, oh my God, here's another food post from Bill. But yeah, phenomenal. He does a great job. I can't say it enough. Great follow, because he makes sure he introduces who the server is.
Yeah.
And you tie it. It's a really nice little community tie-in you do there. So.
Yeah, I like to give a plug both for you and also for Bruce John. I think both of you are tremendously good for the community.
Oh, thank you.
You post all the time. It's always very positive things. I know that you are a very great Christian, as am I.
Thank you.
I don't mean I'm a great Christian in terms of performance, but I know where my compass is pointing. And Bruce is out there all the time with levity, and also with music. He is the music man in my book.
And his memes are phenomenal too.
They are.
I've stolen a few of Bruce's memes. I'm not afraid to admit.
I live off of Bruce's memes.
All right, so we're talking with Bill Carell here. Along with doing the PDS thing, still to this day, what else keeps you busy? What's your connection with the Holy Family Home and Shelter, which is now HFHS? What's your connection there?
Quick story. I got called in by one of the volunteers over there, and I was asked whether or not I still did telephone systems, which I do. And they're all internet-based these days, voice over IP. And so I set them up with a whole new phone system, and it runs on the internet. And while I was there, I kind of got to be friends with Ryan very quickly, and he started asking me questions about business and what would you do about this and what would you do about that. That was about 16 months ago.
Yeah.
And so he just asked me if I would help him, if I would be a resource for him in terms of mentoring, and also help put together a plan for formalizing a very informal organization at that time. And that's what we've been doing for the last 16 months. So I've been doing a combination of things in terms of helping with fundraising, grant writing, more or less just being a sounding board if there's issues that he thinks that are pressing for him and for the organization. And in addition to that, kind of being an ombudsman for for that effort. It's a great charity.
Yeah.
As you well know, it's started by the Catholic Church. Catholic Church does not have the funding that they used to, and we are in the middle of a campaign to raise money here through the month of August. And anybody that wants to make a donation, you can actually mail it to 88 Jackson Street, Holy Family Home and Shelter, or HFHS, and that's 88 Jackson Street, Willimantic 06226.
In fact, you can hear Bill's ad with Ryan. They just voiced it last week. It's going to be running right through, I believe, August 19th, or through the month of August. And phenomenal job of that. And yeah, we should. I'm glad you were able to get that in there as well. It's very important. In fact, my connection to HFHS, being connected with the Knights of Columbus here in Willimantic,
Right.
Council 14. Whenever we do our monthly breakfast, if we have some leftovers, I run it right over to the fine folks over there at Holy Family Home and Shelter. So, what do you find yourself doing on a day? You get so much going on. So, what do you do? Well, actually, I want to get to the Wayne Norman connection as well.
Sure.
Because I know he's got story after story. Give us a quick rundown of the 9 to 5 day for Bill Carell.
So, like most days, this morning I rolled out of bed automatically. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. And I either choose to roll back over and go to sleep for an hour, or I get up if my wife is working, because she's a postal worker, and we'll get up and go downstairs and spend a half hour together before she starts her routine. While I'm doing that, I spend a lot of time, really appreciating the quiet of the morning. I do a lot of self-development work. And I do a lot of looking at things that I can do. I also have 2 podcasts. I have one that's called Lighting the Candle, A World That Works. And that is one is about empowerment. This is about how people can generate empowerment in their lives when they're stuck. Something doesn't seem to be working or nothing seems to be working, and you still have to keep going. So that's what that one is. We're up to, and we've been doing that for 2 full years, and we're up to like 150 episodes. And then I have another one, which I really love. This is my passion, learning about other people in their own words. It's called Simple Questions for 100 People. And the neat part of that is all 100 people, I'm up to like 25 or 26 right now, will be asked the same 13 questions.
That's great.
And they are very innocuous. They do not have anything to do with politics, sex, religion, or money, okay? They are about, like, here, I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, one is, when you were 5 years old, who did you want to grow up to be and why? So another one would be, what do you want to do and what do you want to leave behind before you pass on to the next life?
Yeah, I think you sent me a list of questions,
Exactly.
And it really had me thinking. I looked at it going, wow, I got to think about this.
No, it's great. It's great work to stop and interrupt the noise, because we are bombarded all day long by social media, by advertising, by news. Some call it not authentic and not real, and some call it like this is the Bible and you got to believe what comes out of the New York Times, et cetera, et cetera. This is an opportunity to stop and think about, why are you here? What's your place in the universe, and what's your unique contribution?
And little plug for your podcast. Where can they check both your podcasts out?
We're on 17 different platforms, but if you look up on Spotify, I did this yesterday, so I know this one's easy to find. Lighting the Candle, A World That Works, you will find it.
Okay.
And Simple Questions for 100 People, you will find it.
Excellent. Now, I know we're running out of time here, and we could have went way past an hour with this show. Unfortunately, it's only a 25-minute show. The Wayne Norman connection that you were starting to tell me before the show, tell us a little about that. And, I'll let you go. I was going to give a little...
What do we got, 3?
Yeah.
So here's the deal. Wayne and I have been friends since I first started advertising with WILI back in, say, 1992 or 1993. And I was on his show several times. And then when I got involved with the Downtown Revitalization Task Force, there were pictures that were taken of me and posted on the front page of the Chronicle at the Capitol Theater with all kinds of old appliances up on the stage. And I got an email, funny enough, from a man named Charlie Barrett. And Charlie was, his dad was the manager of the Stuart Warner Capitol Theater, and he was raised here in Willimantic up on the hill section. And so as time went on, we stayed in touch. He got involved with Wayne. We had lots of conversations on different things. He came here and was on a couple of different programs with Tom Beardsley and me. And then Wayne asked him if he knew anything about anybody at CBS these days, because that's where Dave Letterman
was at CBS. Yeah.
So we'll cut right to the chase. Dave and I get these backstage green room passes to the Dave Letterman show, and we are as excited as we can be. We get there. The show goes on. We don't see anybody, but we've got our own stock of sodas and maybe a couple of beers and fruit and stuff like that. And this is recorded in the afternoon, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then it gets to the uplink around 5 o'clock. So Dave's supposed to have 3 guests on. He only gets as far as Julia Roberts. The whole show is Julia Roberts. And we're sitting in there, and all of a sudden, okay, that's a wrap. And nothing. And we're waiting. And I look at him and I say, I think they all left. So what we did, I said, come on with me. Let's go see if we can find somebody. So we went out. We took a left. Where are we? We're on the stage of the Ed Sullivan Studio.
Oh my God.
Dave's desk is there. It's covered with red Mylar on the floor. So we took turns sitting behind Dave's desk taking pictures of each other.
Oh my God.
We walked out this, talk about taking...
No cell phones back in those days, taking selfies.
No, we didn't have those. But we walked out, went across the street, I think to whatever it is, 53rd Street Theater where Miss Saigon was playing. We walked $7 a piece or something really silly like that. Orchestra seats on the aisle, and we watched it like from here to that wall.
Are you kidding me?
No, we were just living right,
Wow. We could go on, and we'll definitely have to get you back in here another time. But if we go any longer, we're going to be running into the show that you were just on a couple weeks ago, The Neighborhood, with Ernie and Anita. And he probably will be on with Wayne again sometime soon. Bill Carell has been with us. I always have to ask my guests. Sorry, man, I got to get this in here. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up this episode 32 of Hometown Threads?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Don't believe anything that you hear about this community that's negative, because it's up to you and me to generate nothing but positivity around here. And there are people that will complain all day long, and let them, but keep applying yourself to having a great life.
It's been great, and it's been great getting to know this man a little bit more, even though I've known him all these years. And I'm serious about that lunch. We got to go to lunch, and you can even put it on Facebook if you want.
100%.
Bill, one more thing. Friday, August 4th, the Rotary Golf Tournament. That'll help out numerous organizations in the community. That's this Friday. And how do they get the tickets, or would it be in
860-428-9541. 860-428-9541.
All right. Thank you, Bill Carell. Thank you, J. Matt Rupar, Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. That'll wrap things up for episode 32. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And the words of the great Roddy McCumber.
Bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice, or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.